In 2012, the SEC did something unprecedented in NFL draft history. 4 of the first 17 picks were defensive backs from the Southeastern Conference. Morris Claiborne went 6th overall to Dallas. Mark Barron went 7th to Tampa Bay. Stephon Gilmore went 10th to Buffalo. Dre Kirkpatrick went 17th to Cincinnati. 4 defensive backs and 17 picks, all from the same conference. No other conference, not the Big Ten, not Pac-12, not ACC, has ever come close to that level of dominance in a single year. Since the Jim Thorpe Award started in 1986 to honor college football's best defensive back, the SEC has produced 8 winners. LSU alone has 3, tied with Texas and Oklahoma for the most all-time. Between 2007 and 2017, LSU sent 4 defensive backs into the top 6 picks of the NFL draft. LaRon Landry went 6th in 2007. Patrick Peterson went 5th in 2011. Morris Claiborne went 6th in 2012. Jamal Adams went 6th in 2017. No other school in any conference has matched that production level. This is why LSU fans call their school DBU, Defensive Back University. The SEC Defensive Player of the Year award has been dominated by defensive backs from this conference for decades. This isn't a ranking of the best college football defensive backs ever. These are the top 10 defensive backs who played in the Southeastern Conference, covering 7 decades from Tommy Casanova in 1969 to players who finished their NFL careers in recent years. What makes the SEC different isn't just the quantity of talent, it's the quality of competition these guys face every single week. The physical style of play prepares defensive backs for Sundays better than anywhere else in the country, and the coaching development turns 3-star recruits into top 10 NFL draft picks. At number 10, Dre Kirkpatrick from Alabama. Kirkpatrick played from 2009 to 2011 under Nick Saban and won 2 BCS national championships with the Crimson Tide. He earned first-team All-SEC honors in 2011 and was the 17th overall pick by Cincinnati in the historic 2012 draft. He played 8 seasons in the NFL. Kirkpatrick represents what Alabama became under Saban, a defensive back factory that could consistently produce first-round talent. He was not even the best defensive back on his own team in 2011, and he still went in the first round. That shows how deep the SEC talent pool runs. Number 9, Stephon Gilmore from South Carolina. Gilmore played for the Gamecocks from 2009 to 2011 and earned first-team All-SEC recognition in 2011. Buffalo drafted him 10th overall in 2012. Here is what people who do not watch SEC football do not understand about Gilmore. He became a better NFL player than he was in college, and he was already exceptional in college. He won the 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. He made 5 Pro Bowls, and he earned 2 first-team All-Pro selections. In 2020, he became the highest-paid cornerback in NFL history. Gilmore proves that SEC defensive backs are not just arriving with talent, they are being developed through a system that translates directly to the next level. At number 8, Mark Barron from Alabama. Barron was a 2-time All-SEC selection who played from 2008 to 2011. He was part of Alabama's 2011 national championship team, and he went 7th overall to Tampa Bay in the 2012 draft. Barron played 9 NFL seasons and showed the versatility that SEC defensive backs bring to the pros. He started as a safety at Alabama, then transitioned to linebacker in the NFL. That football intelligence and physicality comes from playing in the SEC where you face opponents with NFL talent every single Saturday. Number 7. Joe Hayden from Florida. Hayden played from 2007 to 2009, and he won the Sporting News National Defensive Player of the Year award in 2009. He was a unanimous All-America that same year. As a true freshman in 2007, he earned Freshman All-SEC and Freshman All-America honors, then became a key member of Urban Meyer's 2008 BCS Championship defense. Cleveland drafted him 7th overall in 2010. He made 2 Pro Bowls and earned 1 All-Pro selection. Hayden's story matters because he was the best defensive back on one of the greatest defenses in college football history. That 2008 Florida defense shut down everybody. At number 6, Morris Claiborne from LSU. Claiborne played from 2009 to 2011 and won the Jim Thorpe Award in 2011 after leading the entire nation in interception return yards with 173 yards on 6 picks. He was the Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year, a unanimous All-American, and part of LSU's 2011 Southeastern Conference Championship team. Dallas drafted him 6th overall in 2012. Here is the part that should terrify every other conference. Claiborne was a 3-star recruit, ranked as the 58th athlete in the nation coming out of high school. 3 years later, he was the 6th pick in the NFL draft. That transformation does not happen by accident. That is LSU's defensive back development system under defensive backs coach Corey Raymond, turning raw athletes into elite players. Number 5, Tyrann Mathieu from LSU. The Honey Badger only played 2 seasons, 2010 and 2011, but his 2011 campaign was one of the greatest seasons ever by a defensive back in college football history. Mathieu won the Chuck Bednarik Award as the nation's top defensive player. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a consensus All-American, and he finished 5th in Heisman Trophy voting as a defensive back. That does not happen. Mathieu recorded 77 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles, and 5 fumble recoveries in 2011. He scored 4 total touchdowns that season, 2 on fumble returns and 2 on punt returns. Those numbers created constant turnovers and game-changing plays. In the SEC championship game against Georgia, Mathieu was named MVP of LSU's 42-10 demolition. He recovered a fumble, returned another punt 47 yards, setting up a touchdown, and was all over the field. Those plays turned a 10-7 deficit into a 21-10 lead and broke Georgia's back. LSU dismissed Mathieu from the team before the 2012 season due to drug violations. He entered rehabilitation. Arizona still drafted him in the 3rd round of the 2013 draft. Mathieu turned his entire life around. He is a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he was a finalist for the 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. At 5'9" and 175 pounds, Mathieu was the smallest player on this entire list, but he hit like a linebacker and created turnovers like nobody else in college football. In just 26 college games, Mathieu forced 14 turnovers. That is a turnover every 1.86 games for his entire college career. Nobody in the modern era comes close to that rate. This is what makes LSU's claim as DBU so legitimate. At number 4, Patrick Peterson from LSU. Peterson played from 2008 to 2010 and established himself as the top cover cornerback in college football during his junior year. He won both the Jim Thorpe Award and the Chuck Bednarik Award in 2010. In that same season, he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year and the SEC Special Teams Player of the Year. Peterson was a consensus first-team All-American. In LSU's 2010 season opener against North Carolina, Peterson put on a show that announced him to the entire country. He registered 257 return yards on punts and kickoffs combined, the second-best single-game return performance in LSU history. Peterson led the SEC and ranked 4th in the nation in punt return average at 16.1 yards per return. He led the SEC and ranked 9th in the nation in kickoff return average at 29.1 yards per return. He set an LSU single-season record with 932 kickoff return yards that still stands today. Arizona drafted Peterson 5th overall in 2011. He made the Pro Bowl in each of his first 8 NFL seasons, 8 straight Pro Bowls to start his career. He is a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he was named to the NFL All-Decade Team for the 2010s. Peterson's development under defensive coordinator John Chavis and defensive backs coach Corey Raymond at LSU became the template for how DBU produces elite NFL talent. Number 3, Eric Berry from Tennessee. Berry played from 2007 to 2009 and won more awards in 3 years than most defensive backs win in their entire careers. He won the Jim Thorpe Award in 2009. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year as a sophomore in 2008. He was a unanimous All-American in both 2008 and 2009. In 2008, Berry led the nation with 7 interceptions. He returned those interceptions for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kansas City drafted Berry 5th overall in 2010. He made 5 Pro Bowls and earned 3 first-team All-Pro selections. In 2014, Berry was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He missed the entire 2015 season while undergoing chemotherapy and radiation treatment. Most people thought his career was over. Berry came back in 2016 and won the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award. That kind of toughness is what playing safety in the SEC builds into you. You learn to fight through anything because you are getting hit by future NFL running backs and tight ends every single Saturday for 3 years. Berry's resume speaks for itself. 3 years at Tennessee, all 3 years as an All-American. That's dominance. At number 2, Tommy Casanova from LSU. This is where people who don't know SEC history get exposed. Casanova played from 1969 to 1971, and he's the only 3-time All-American in LSU history. Not just the only 3-time All-American defensive back, the only 3-time All-American period at LSU. He earned All-American honors in 1969, 1970, and 1971. He was a 3-time first-team All-SEC selection. In September of 1971, Sports Illustrated put Casanova on the cover of their college football preview issue with the headline, "Tommy Casanova of LSU, best player in the nation, not best defensive back." Best player. Casanova did everything on a football field. He played cornerback. He played running back. He returned punts and kickoffs. In a 61-17 victory over Ole Miss in 1970, Casanova returned 2 punts for touchdowns in the same game, 61 yards and 73 yards, tying the NCAA record for punt return touchdowns in a single game. LSU set a team record with 3 punt return touchdowns in that game, and Casanova had 2 of them. On November 20th, 1971, LSU faced Notre Dame in Baton Rouge. It was Notre Dame's first visit to Tiger Stadium ever. The entire state of Louisiana had been pointing to that game all season long. This was LSU against the most famous Catholic university in America, in a heavily Catholic state. It was a crusade. Casanova intercepted Joe Theismann in the fourth quarter with what the LSU play-by-play announcer described as a Willie Mays-esque grab for a touchback. LSU won 28-8 in a nationally televised upset of the 7th-ranked Fighting Irish. That interception sealed it. Cincinnati drafted Casanova in the second round of the 1972 draft, 29th overall. He played 6 seasons as a safety and earned 3 Pro Bowl selections. He was named first-team All-Pro in 1976. He recorded 17 career interceptions in the NFL. His coach in Cincinnati, Paul Brown, the man the Cleveland Browns are named after, said Casanova was just plain special and that they never had anyone else like him. On defense, he played the ball like a center fielder. Here is what makes Casanova's story even more remarkable. While playing professional football, he enrolled at the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine. He earned his medical degree in 1980 while still in the NFL. He became an ophthalmologist specializing in oculoplastic surgery. He is a doctor. Casanova was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1995. In 2000, the Walter Camp Football Foundation selected him for their All-Century team, honoring the best college football players of the entire 20th century. And most people under 50 have never heard of him. That's criminal. And at number 1, Champ Bailey from Georgia. This is not close. This is not a debate. Champ Bailey is the greatest defensive back in SEC history, and anyone who argues otherwise does not know what they are talking about. Bailey played from 1996 to 1998 and created a resume that no other SEC defensive back has ever matched. In 1998, Bailey played more than 1,000 snaps on offense, defense, and special teams. He was a defensive back, a wide receiver, and a kick returner all at the same time. Against Auburn in 1998, Bailey played a career-high 119 plays in a single game, highlighted by a fourth-quarter interception that sealed the victory. Bailey won the Nagurski Trophy in 1998 as the nation's top defensive player. Not top defensive back. Top defensive player. He finished 7th in Heisman Trophy voting that year. 7th place for a player who spent half his time on defense. Bailey was a 1998 consensus first-team All-American. He earned first-team All-SEC honors in both 1997 and 1998. He finished his Georgia career with 147 tackles, 8 interceptions, and 27 pass breakups. On offense, he caught passes for 978 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 1998 alone, he had 744 receiving yards. Bailey was also a member of Georgia's track and field team. At the 1998 SEC Championships, he set the school indoor long jump record at 25 feet 10 inches. That record still stands today, 27 years later. Washington drafted Bailey 7th overall in 1999. Before the 2004 season, Washington traded him to Denver. Bailey spent 15 seasons in the NFL between Washington and Denver. He made 12 Pro Bowls, which is the most Pro Bowl selections ever for a defensive back in NFL history. He recorded 203 passes defended, which is the NFL record. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2019 on his first ballot. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2022. Champ Bailey is the greatest defensive back in SEC history, and it is not particularly close. The SEC has produced more Jim Thorpe Award winners, more first-round draft picks, and more All-Pro defensive backs than any conference in college football history. LSU alone has sent multiple players from this list to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The 2011 LSU defense had 3 players from this list in the same secondary at the same time: Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne, and Tyrann Mathieu. 3 future NFL first-round picks in the same defensive backfield. That had never happened before in college football, and it has not happened since. The joke among LSU fans in 2011 was that the Tigers' best offensive play was when the other team threw the ball, and one of those 3 was in position to defend it. When you look at the interception numbers and return touchdowns from that season, the joke was not far from the truth. The conference dominance shows up everywhere you look: in the NFL draft numbers, in the award counts, in the Pro Bowl selections. But it also shows up in the way these players changed the position itself. Champ Bailey proved a defensive back could be versatile enough to dominate on both sides of the ball at an elite level. Tommy Casanova proved it 25 years earlier in a completely different era. Eric Berry redefined what a safety could do in coverage while still being a devastating hitter. Patrick Peterson brought return skills that had not been seen since Deion Sanders. Tyrann Mathieu showed the entire country that size does not matter if you have instincts, toughness, and an engine that never stops running. The modern NFL defensive back: versatile, athletic, capable of playing multiple positions, physical enough to support the run, but fast enough to cover receivers downfield, was built in the SEC. Every single characteristic that makes elite defensive backs in today's NFL came from players who learned their craft on Saturday afternoons in Death Valley, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Sanford Stadium, and Neyland Stadium. The SEC did not just produce the best defensive backs in college football history. The SEC created the blueprint for what a defensive back is supposed to be, and everyone else is still trying to catch up. Subscribe for more SEC football history and NFL draft analysis.